The NCAA Men's Volleyball Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual, proud to be the official financial planning partner of the NCAA, and in part by Gatorade. Gatorade knows it all begins within. Win from within.
Just as it was 43 years ago, Los Angeles is the site for the NCAA Men's Volleyball Championships. 1970, the first year of it. It was at Pauley Pavilion. That's where we're at tonight as UC Irvine and BYU get set to square off this evening. UC Irvine has a first-year head coach in David Kniffin. He can become the second coach in the history of men's volleyball to win a title in his first year as a head coach, taking over for John Speron, now the coach here at UCLA. Was an assistant under Speron for 5 years. Meanwhile, Chris McGowan's father, Carl, is a Hall of Famer. He won a national title, the first in BYU history in 1999. Chris trying to join his dad as the first combo to coach the same school to an NCAA title in the same sport. BYU has the advantage on the pins tonight, Karch.
They sure do, and the advantage is that Taylor Sander plays on the left sideline a lot in front of the setter, and Ben Patch on the right, and they both have been super effective, so they spread the defense out and create spaces all across the net.
That's a junior and a freshman for UC Irvine. Great duo on the outside pin for Tilly and Austin.
You sure have a good one, and they both know how to win. They were here a year ago, and they beat USC across town at the Galen Center in 3 very close games. Chris Austin, a bit of a surprise last year, a lot of experience at the setter position, and Kevin Tilly, of course, an All-American, really solid, and the leader that UCI looks to today.
And BYU is going to come out firing with the all-time aces leader in BYU history. That's the MPSF Player of the Year. First team All-American, a 3-time All-American in Taylor Sander, who was outstanding yesterday. 17 kills, 7 digs, 3 blocks. He and Tilly are the headliners tonight. They call Tilly Air France, the true Frenchman. Here we go, a national title on the line. Both teams searching for their 4th ever program titles. And Tilly gets UC Irvine on the board first. It's 3 a.m. start time where he's from, the southeast corner of France. And there's his setter, Chris Austin. Was not the starter last year, came in for Daniel Stork when Stork got hurt with a concussion issue. Austin did not play against BYU in either of the first 2 matchups. Young ties us up at 1.
And certainly both teams want to establish that quick tempo, that first play, setting the middle and spreading the defense out. BYU successful in the middle.
Rough pass from Brinkley. Tilly gets stuffed.
And it starts exactly as you mentioned there, Adam. Nicely noted. Brinkley, a first-team All-American, the top libero in the country, but he had a little trouble with that flutter serve that, of course, was put at him by Devin Young.
And BYU's block yesterday, 12.5 against Penn State in the semis.
There's a better pass.
3-point for Austin, and Tilly is able to put it down. He's got a pair of kills already.
And that's what both teams want to do. They want to put that pass right on the setter's head, and then they can run a much more effective offense. In volleyball, we call that in-system offense off the perfect pass.
He is from Cagnes-sur-Mer, France. The All-American with a very good service. You'll see that a lot tonight. Sander out of the back row.
And it gets a lot more open because the last play, BYU chose the first option. It's kind of like 2 running backs coming at you at the line of scrimmage. Do you hand it off to the first one or the second one? That time to the halfback.
And here is the top freshman of the country, Ben Patch. On the backside, La Cabrera is going to be a huge factor for UC Irvine in this match. He has had some struggles at times. He's been up and down this year.
And they had another great left-hander last year, Carson Clark, who led them, was a 4-year starter and helped them to that title. La Cabrera early in the season was trying to play like Clark. Now is much more comfortable and just being the best La Cabrera he can be.
Little miscommunication. Boyce to Lavaya in the middle. Boyce at the beginning of the season, wasn't sure whether or not he was going to be the starter. This is his first year as the full-time starter at center.
But we definitely want to keep an eye on that because 2 out of the last 3 do-or-die matches really for BYU. He has been substituted out, and he made a bad decision on that last play.
Patch, 8 points in, and we've been tied 4 times.
And this is the all-everything newcomer freshman, Ben Patch, who has just lit it up this season. Surprised his coach Chris McGowan, who didn't expect this good this fast.
Josue Rivera from Puerto Rico. Diving past Tilly, and Connor Hughes gets dug up. Quick one to Lavalle. He's the senior, the red shirt. He missed the season 2 years ago because of a labrum surgery, and he's one of those puzzle pieces. Everything kind of fell into place for BYU. He's one of those guys that had that extra year this year.
He sure is, and so much so that they can set a blind set. That was from Boyce behind him, but he could tell exactly where Lavalle was approaching.
Good pass, Tilly. But a stuff at the net. Lavalle right in the thick of it, and another BYU block. It's their second.
Yeah, watch the BYU blockers. They key on the first option, number 11 right there. They're both in the air. Number 7, Tilly, was coming afterward, and he would have been wide open if they had set option number 2.
3 in a row for the Cougars. Tilly a little tight. Good save. Austin leaving it wide open for Hughes. Boyce is smaller. Hughes has a big size advantage on that pin.
Nicely noted. You have to look at matchups. Setters every time they step in there, and Hughes having a huge advantage. That's probably where he should have gone the first time. Milk that advantage when you have it.
There's a Huntington Beach native. It's only about 35, 40 miles away. A couple of Huntington Beach guys on both teams.
So now you got to mismatch Austin on the other side,
right.
But they go the other way.
And Patch is able to put it down for a side-out kill for BYU. They've scored 4 of the last 5, and Patch is a pair of kills.
And boy, does he get off the ground. Watch him elevate, and look at, he's hitting a front row set there, but he's jumping from behind the 3-meter line, flying 8 feet through the air to attack that ball.
Chris McGowan says he's only at about 10%, 15% of what he could be.
And that's depressing for college opponents and exciting for the USA coach down the line.
Overpass, and Sander puts it down. It's a 3-point BYU lead.
Well, so far you could see that BYU is having a lot more success getting UC Irvine in trouble with their serve than the other way. And it's critical for UC Irvine to control this next serve, and a lot of the BYU serves coming across the net. Let's see this one. That's a better pass right on the setter's head. Easy put away.
For Hughes, who had a very good match quietly in the semifinals on Thursday night. He hasn't been the starter all year, but he was so good on the passing line and attacking.
But the 2 times that he played against BYU,
that's right,
had a very rough match both times, and yet David Kniffen, first-year coach for Irvine, decided to go with him as the starter tonight.
Good pass by Reyes, and Sander puts it down.
Look at how Reyes hits the floor here and adjusts off the tape. What a pass. And then Taylor completely, Sander elevating and going sharp cross court. He can go anywhere he wants on that with that kind of jump.
5-2 run BYU. Nice adjustment by Austin. That was a little tight to the net, but he was able to set it up in the middle.
Yep, and that too starts with a very good pass from Brinkley, the All-American, and puts it right on Austin's head so they can run any kind of offense they want.
5 kills, 4 blocks in the semis for Kevorkian. There's Rivera, and it was touched by Kevorkian. Couldn't corral it. Another side out for BYU.
And you could see Rivera's laughing a little. He got fooled. He didn't think that ball was going to go to him, and he had to react and still keep playing because he thought that ball was not going to him.
He's only 6'3", but he's got very good extension.
And I love his coach says he's unencumbered by conscience. What a great description by Chris McGowan. And that's one of the things you love. You just want guys to unleash, and boy, did he open it up. A little over a week ago, they go down 2-0 in a critical playoff match in their conference to UCLA, and Rivera picked it up where Patch and Sander were struggling.
There he is. He pushed it a little bit, and it's 2 in a row for UC Irvine. Twice, BYU had to rally in the MPSF tournament against Hawaii down 2-1, then against UCLA down 2-0. Epic semifinal match where they have swept the last 2 opponents to get to the finals. Boy, Patch is just having a sparkling start to this one, another side out.
And also remember, UC Irvine was up 2-0 earlier this season. Sander having his worst match of the season. Who picked it up? Ben Patch, and he's already hot to start. He should be the one that gets a lot of attempts as we continue this match.
He had 35 kills in that 5-set win. Boyce was able to play it up. Is there enough room for Young? No. Now 3 of the last 4 belong to the Anteaters.
Well, the thing, if you're an Anteater fan, you've got to like how they've picked up their serve receive. They're controlling the ball better and keeping themselves in the match. Early, they were really having the trouble controlling the serves of BYU.
Irvine had the advantage in both matches in aces. They out-aced BYU 10-3 in their 2 meetings this year. There's an error from Tilly, and it's a 2-point BYU lead.
And one of the advantages, of course, as you look at the guys with the different colored jerseys, the libero who only played back row, is Brinkley, the first-team All-American. If this serve goes to him, he should have a better time controlling it, and he does right on the money.
Excellent pass, and a huge kill for La Cabrera on the backside.
Starts with Brinkley. What a great touch on his part to get it right to the setter. Easy put away, one-on-one here. Watch this. And the blocker's actually barely there.
Yeah, Rivera very late.
So can Reyes do the same thing for BYU? They serve away from him.
Tough one from Rivera. They'll bail out to Sander against the triple block. Setter Austin is out of the play. Hughes able to tool the block. Lavaya, not a good touch up at the net.
What a smart choice by Hughes. He knew he had 3 blockers up, but the blocker's hands were flailing around. He hit the high edges of the block. Falls right through for point.
Back to a tie score. 5th tie the first set. Late pass by Lavaya. They go all the way back to Patch. No touch. UC Irvine has the lead.
And now UCI has turned the tables. Of course, it starts with the serving of Mehring, getting 2 straight plays where BYU's in trouble.
Tough floater here from Mehring. That time Sander, a perfect pass. Lavaya. Tie number 6 in this first set.
That's the kind of pass BYU wants. They'll have 3 or 4 great options to set, and they went with the first one, Lavaya.
Here's Josue Rivera. Second on the team in aces this year.
You don't want to put it on Brinkley.
And Hughes all alone against Boyce on that pin. That size advantage very apparent.
Yeah, not a good play by Rivera, putting it to the all the way across the court and making an easy put away. Again, that's a good matchup for UC Irvine against the small blocker for BYU, but lots of court to serve at, and Rivera wasn't able to find it.
Both teams had double-digit errors yesterday. You'll see that a lot. 2 very aggressive serving teams.
Yeah, and I don't think they really worry about it. They just hope to get 80% in, but missing 1 out of 5 does not bother either one of these teams. They want to serve super aggressively.
Here's Hughes. He's off to a great start. And he gives UC Irvine the 1-point lead as we hit the break halfway through the first. And sure enough, it's a 1-point set. Connor Hughes had a big-time match on Thursday off the bench. He makes the start tonight.
And he's about 2 feet higher than the blocker there. Easy put away.
Shot of Los Angeles and the NCAA Volleyball Championships. UC Irvine up by 1. BYU won its first ever title in 1999 in Los Angeles at Pauley Pavilion. Let's take a look at our Northwestern Mutual Planning for Success keys to the game. What do you got, Coach?
Well, certainly UCI has to neutralize the serve. They had trouble the first 10 points or so, but since then been controlling the strong serves of BYU well. And UCI finding the right mix. It appears they found it right off the bat so far with a 1-point lead and the right starting lineup. BYU needs to trust their game. They have fought through, as you mentioned before, 2 deficits in the last week or 2 weeks of playoffs, and they need to keep their poise and, of course, be ready to adapt if UC Irvine starts going as they can to a very deep lineup and making lots of changes.
Hughes is part of that very deep outside and backside pin rotation. Great save by Boyce. Austin, the solo block on Sander. There's the first block for the Anteaters.
And that wasn't a particularly tough serve by Connor Hughes, but BYU having lots of trouble controlling that. If they keep that up, UCI got a big advantage. That's not a great pass either.
It was from Rivera, which leads to Patch being blocked. Tilly and Kevorkian right in the middle of it.
And as soon as the pass is off the net, UCI's blockers can key on Patch. They do easy block, easy stuff points.
And right out of the timeout, a couple of more UCI points. They've got their largest lead of the first set at 3. UC Irvine, its largest first set lead at 3 on BYU. Irvine trying to become the first repeat champs since the 95-96 UCLA Bruins to have Al Skate's 19 titles. First NCAA title since '04 at stake for Chris McGowan, whose father led BYU to a title back in '99. BYU very efficient in their first 16 swings. The last 2 they've been blocked.
No, and starts with the serving of UCI, creating big blocking opportunities, now putting themselves to a 3-point lead. Chris Austin running a phenomenal UC Irvine offense. They're hitting at a 643 clip. Early, they had a couple troubles with passing receive or serve receive, but cleaned it up since then.
There's a much better serve receive for BYU. Sure enough, Sander picks up the kill.
And when you get that better control of the serve, 4th kill for Sander there. When you control that serve better, you get interest in other blockers or in other hitters, and that gets a Sander one-on-one situation against the setter, Chris Austin.
Hughes picks up another kill. He's off to a great start in this match. 5 for 6 before that swing.
Which is a huge change from the previous 2 times he faced BYU.
And Austin, remember, was not the setter for either match. It was Daniel Stork when BYU and UC Irvine squared off. BYU won both matches. They only hit about 250 in those matches. For the season, they hit 310, top 10 of the country. And here's Wollaston, who's been a serve specialist this season and in this tournament.
Another passing error for Rivera, creating a point-scoring opportunity, but the block couldn't control the attack of Patch.
That's a bailout kill there for Taylor Sander.
Exactly.
A couple of rotations through. We're back to Sander serving. BYU down by 2.
You know, if you had to think you want to win a title, there's less pressure in trying to repeat when they didn't win their conference and they lost both times. It's really they're the underdog, UC Irvine is, and so much more pressure on BYU at this point.
They were the at-large in the 4-team NCAA tournament. Here is Patch. Good dig by Brinkley. Easily played by La Cavera. Boyce for Sander. Excellent change of pace for the kill.
Yeah, and Sander saw that Brinkley, the best defensive player on the floor, was way in the back middle of the court. And so then he can send it over. You'll see Brinkley, the white jersey, across the net deep, and he makes the read, but he's got too far to travel. Well, that's too easy of a serve by Sander.
I don't think that's what he wanted to put on it. He may have mishit it a little bit. He's going to take it. It'll be Patch. Tie game.
And all of a sudden, BYU 3 out of the last 4 points. These are 2 great teams. Timeout, UC Irvine.
All Ben Patch. He's got 4 kills to start. SEC baseball is back at the Diamond tomorrow afternoon as the Bulldogs take on Zach Godley and the Volunteers. Georgia and Tennessee Sunday at 1 on ESPNU and also live on Watch ESPN. We said it's 2 of the best offensive teams in the country, and Patch really led the way this season for BYU. He's going to go on his mission coming up this year.
He's playing his freshman year, and then he's going to go away for 2 years.
Right.
Other teams are going to like not having to face him, but then he's going to be 2 years older, more mature. Pretty scary, and of course, he and Taylor Sander both probably have bright USA futures. Patch surprising his coach a lot. They did not have any kind of idea that he'd have this year as a freshman.
5'9" as a high school freshman. Man, did this kid hit a growth spurt. Grew up across the street from the BYU campus.
And it doesn't hurt if you're 6'8" and you jump like this. You put the height and the jump on that combo. He's going over the block a lot. And when you jump that high, that tall, you also have a great view of the defense, both the block at the net and the defensive lineup behind.
Ben Patch is the 3rd of 4 children, but he and his younger brother are adopted. He still is very close to his birth mother, but only this past year did he actually get a chance to meet his biological father, a retired NFL player. He came to a match, flew all the way out to Provo to see him play in a match. And it's been an emotional year for Patch, who again is going to go on his LDS mission, then come back. He will play with the USA team during the summer, though. Tied at 18, it's a race to 7, and Sanders back to serve. Here is Tilley. A well-positioned block forced him out of bounds, and a lead for BYU. They've scored 5 of the last 6.
Yeah, that's probably not where Sander wants to serve toward the best passer, Brinkley. He has 2/3 of the court to hit at with Tilley and Hughes here, but still they score. Tilley trying to do too much with that swing. That's where he wants to go.
That's the guy you got to go after. La Cavera is blocked, but it's out of bounds.
You know, sometimes you can do everything right and not score the point. Sure. BYU did everything right. They served tough. They served the right guy, got a good block up, but a better swing by La Cavera.
There is Austin, the setter, with 3 attack options up front. Good save, Reyes. Rivera.
Good dig by Brinkley.
What a save by Boyce. Tilley loads up and throws it down.
Watch. First, Boyce hitting the ground. He couldn't control it on that side of the net, but 2 great defensive plays. First, Brinkley for UCI, and then Boyce on the BYU side.
Boyce to Rivera.
Boy, what a fast set that was. That thing just flew across to the sideline, an easy seam for Rivera to hit at.
He's not the biggest, just about 6'3", so the tempo a little quicker with him.
Watch that. It's so fast that there's no way that the middle blocker and the end blocker can go shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip.
UC Irvine's got the lead. Devin Young steps off. Tilley to serve against the 4-man Cougar passing line here. Rivera got it up. Here's Patch.
Oh, right over. Rivera that time controlling a very tough serve. UCI thinking it's got to go Patch all the way. It does, and he still wins that battle.
5 kills for Patch. It's a race to 4 for the first set.
That's where they want to go.
Hughes has struggled in this first set. Good save by Patch. Transition for Irvine. Oh. What a dig by Reyes. Nice. What a save by Boyce. Twisting set Austin. La Cavera was able to get it off of Patch that may have sailed out. Irvine gets the point.
UC Irvine getting a break there. Did you see that set drift off the net? That was not placed well by Austin. What an up by Reyes in the backcourt, just sticking a hand out. This one drifted off the net. You could see that ball well behind La Cavera, and he controlled it, still gets the kill.
And here's Mehring. Floated a little bit on him.
And that's the float he wants. He scored points before, but that one floated a little long. Loses his chance to score some points.
22-all in this first set. It's Rivera. 18 aces this year, second on the Cougars.
Tilly.
Nice change up there, and it's a lead for the Anteaters.
Oh, no. He jumped with his foot touching the 3-meter line. You have to jump behind the line.
Back row attack.
Referee spotted it, and Tilly called for the violation. Watch his foot right there. Yeah, well over. He made the right choice in tipping, putting that soft shot toward Patch, who's having trouble on defense. Patch is really in for his offense, his blocking, his serving.
Kevin Call and Steve Grabowski are officiating crew. Excellent call to get the right point. First round coverage of the NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships begins Saturday, May the 11th at 2:30 Eastern on ESPNU. For more info, visit ncaa.com. Your home for all 89 NCAA championships. Chris McGowan and David Kniffen. They're still fresh in the head coaching profession, but a lot of experience on both sides, internationally and nationally. Chris McGowan, his dad Carl, was a 2-time National Coach of the Year and 2-time Conference Coach of the Year. And Chris, this past week, won both of those awards in just his second season. He and his dad trying to become the first ever father-son combo to win titles in any sport at the same school. This was the first title for BYU.
Yep, the first title of 2 for the elder McGowan, Carl McGowan. And Chris was saying earlier this week, you know, people were saying, don't you want to be your own man? Why would you want to have him around? But he said, look, I'm always trying to learn and be a better coach. Why wouldn't I want to have one of the greatest minds in coaching in this country to help me out? He said they've had their moments, though. They've butted heads a lot. Sure. Sometimes Carl, the dad, will say, boy, I wouldn't coach that way.
He's a volunteer assistant. Came on staff when Chris became the head coach. Well, what a great 99 run that was. Ossie Antonetti, Ryan Millar, who you know very well. Great performances. BYU has won in 04 and also won a title in 01 under Carl McGowan. They won that 04 title with Tom Peterson. Connor Hughes, huge side out for Irvine.
And you can see Tyler Hughes, who came in to make the block on that play, completely got fooled. Goes right back out because of not following his assignment and being good on Connor Hughes.
Race to 2. 13 ties in the first set.
There's a scoring opportunity. 3 blockers up against Sander.
And it's set point.
Started with the good serve from La Cavera.
BYU will use its final timeout, see if they can ice La Cavera a little bit here as the Anteaters have set point.
And you can see one of the advantages that UC Irvine has in the libero position. They're getting a lot of good defensive plays, a lot of good serve reception. That time Reyes having a little trouble controlling that. The ball went past the 3-meter line. That allowed UCI to get 3 blockers up on Sander. Much tougher for him to win that battle.
Both of these teams are searching for their 4th ever national title. 3 of the last 6 belong to UC Irvine, and really the MPSF has dominated. Nobody has repeated, though. There's a lot of parity in volleyball. Nobody's repeated in 17 years, but it's been mostly the MPSF.
And UCI is looking to do it a different way. Kniffen came in. Obviously, he had a very successful program with John Speraw until he left to come head coach here at UCLA. And he brought in with him a different philosophy. He wasn't sure the guys were going to buy in. And so it's been a little bit of a surprise to him, A, that they bought in, and B, that it took so long. Kind of a little ambivalence there.
Kniffen was an assistant under Speraw for 5 years, played for the Anteaters as a setter for 2 seasons, got them to a #1 ranking in 03, their first ever top ranking. He was at Illinois with the women's team that went to the national final a year ago, as well as an assistant, now back at UC Irvine.
And he happens to have an assistant from that Illinois women's team, Michelle Barch, helping them out as she was a part of that NCAA or runner-up team.
Here we go, set point Irvine, and it's La Cavera to serve. Austin is going to step out. They're going to bring in a blocking specialist and Kyle Russell up front for UC Irvine. He's a freshman at 6'9". Sander. Well played by Kevorkian. Tilly. Joust at the net. No, it'll be set to the outside for Russell. He got it down. There was a touch at the net on BYU, and the Anteaters lead it 1-0.
I think they're trying to say that Sander touched it in the backcourt, but all the BYU guys disagreeing. Let's see if we can get a better view as they replay. First Tilly getting locked in. It looked like Russell was going to hit that too. It looked like a near collision.
I don't know
maybe Lavaya.
Maybe Lavaya. I think maybe Sander maybe got a tip on it or something along those lines. But Irvine comes away with the opening set victory. Two very good offensive teams. They battled to a 2-point first set. Irvine's got the lead after the opening frame. Two teams battling here tonight for the national title.